Did Macho Man reach his pinnacle at WrestleMania 3 with his match against Ricky The Dragon Steamboat? Stay tuned while we review the career of the legendary Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh yeah!
Prior to joining the WWF, Macho Man wrestled in the territories. He wrestled for his father's Outlaw territory as well as the legendary Memphis territory. There he refined his skills and character in a feud with the legendary Jerry the King Lawler. I remember watching a videotape match between the two in 1984 in a steel cage match. The cage was more made of wood than steel, but it was still a memorable match. The feud would be settled when Macho Man lost a loser leaves town match against Lawler, sending the Macho Man to the WWF. If you like territory wrestling, I definitely recommend the two matches, but they would pale in comparison to what Savage would eventually do. Macho Man would go on to the WWF, and at WrestleMania 3 on March 29, 1987, Macho Man would defend and lose his Intercontinental Championship against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I will go into this match more later, but I wanted to mention it now so you know where it fit in his impressive career. Savage would go on to win the WWF Championship in a tournament at WrestleMania 4 on March 27, 1988, with the assistance of Hulk Hogan. The match was a high-quality match during an era of WWF programming that focused very little on quality work in the ring, but Savage's victory over the Million Dollar Man Ted DiBiase was overshadowed by Hulk Hogan hogging the spotlight at the end. Despite the strengths of this match, it would not eclipse his match with Steamboat. Nonetheless, his career would prosper as a result of this win. Savage would go on to lose this championship against the guy who stole the spotlight in his victory, Hulk Hogan, on April 2nd, 1989 at WrestleMania 5. Despite my gripes about the treatment of Savage, this was a classic match, and Savage was able to make Hogan look great in the ring. The match would result in Savage losing, and this goes to show you how even while losing, Savage could put on a great show. Savage's next legendary match would be at WrestleMania 7 against the Ultimate Warrior on March the 4th, 1991. The stakes were high as this was a retirement match. Savage would make even the Ultimate Warrior look good in the ring, and this match was a classic between the two. Despite a series of elbow drops from the top rope from Savage, Warrior could not be beaten, and Savage had to retire. Of course, in wrestling, retirements do not last long, but it was still an emotional ending. Likewise, watching Elizabeth at the end defend Savage from the attacking Sherry Martel was an excellent moment for the two. Savage had many great matches with the legendary Ric Flair. The most memorable one was at WrestleMania 8 on April the 5th, 1992. It's a shame that this match was not the main event, as the main event was in fact Hulk Hogan versus Sid Justice, also known as Sid Vicious. This was another example of Hogan hogging the spotlight, and a rare instance of the WWF Championship not being in the main event of WrestleMania at that time. The match was obviously better than the main event, and is the result of what happens when you put two of the best together. Savage was able to take home the gold as well. A hidden gem of a match also happened in 1992. The match was on July the 20th, 1992. The match was Bret Hart and Randy Savage versus Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels. Imagine that. This match was like the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling all getting together to put on a show. This match may not have been on a major pay-per-view, but it ranks up there as an all-time favorite for many. A lot would happen to Savage after this match. He was placed mostly on commentary by McMahon, and Savage was unsatisfied by this. He would go on to follow Hulk Hogan in WCW. There he would meet an old opponent in numerous matches, Ric Flair. His most memorable match against Flair in WCW was at the Great American Bash on June 18, 1995. I was not a big fan of the angle with Flair attacking his father, but then again I believed in kayfabe at the time, so maybe that's part of it. Looking back on it today, it makes more sense to me. But overall, WCW was not the best at storytelling back then. Savage would later go on to help push Diamond Dallas Page in a feud that took place in 1997. These matches were the last great matches of Savage's career, and also an example of two guys who really cared about what they did in the ring, duking it out. Some call it the trilogy of matches, as they had matches at Spring Stampede, the Great American Bash, and Halloween Havoc. The best of these matches was the Las Vegas Sudden Death match at Halloween Havoc on October 26, 1997. The name of the match is confusing. It was really just a last man standing match. Savage won the match with a series of cheating moves, but he still, as always, made his opponent look great. DDP's career would also be elevated from this feud. So now we have reviewed some of the greatest and most important matches in Savage's history. Did he top WrestleMania 3? I can say in a way he did and in a way he did not. As far as his career, Savage would go on to bigger and better things than the Intercontinental title. His WrestleMania appearance proved that he could handle the spotlight to McMahon, and Savage nearly became as popular as his frenemy Hulk Hogan. At the same time, concerning in-ring work, he could never beat it. The time and effort they put into memorizing the moves in that match was insane, and they had performed as if everything was spontaneous despite this. It was a perfect match, and I think Steamboat had an important part of all this, as while it was Savage who was insistent on planning everything out, it took a partner like Steamboat to do his part in the ring and put out some incredible work. So yes, while his career boomed after that match, he was never able to beat the in-ring work of that match despite some phenomenal efforts. If you agree or disagree, please leave a comment. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, peace.